like coming to the decision to just say no to alcohol and say yes to the life I wanted, it took a while to get there, like, because it's one thing to say that you want things to change, but, just saying it and not following it up with actions. And, we know where that can lead us. And for me at that point in time in my life, both my kids were under the age of 6 and 6 and 4, almost 7 and 5. And I have two daughters, Chardonnay and Brie. Wine and cheese. In case
I was going to say, damn, that's a hell of a name for a recovering alcoholic.
I know, but that was before, right?
My son, Jack Daniels and Johnny Walker.
Totally. Seriously. I know. But wine and cheese. And I've been, dating my wife now 22 years. Nice. So at that point in time, we had been together 10 years. And life was interesting. I was my 20s. I learned how to mask a lot of my social anxiety with alcohol. Bottom line, when I would drink, even just a couple drinks, I would shift. My energy would completely change. Yep. I'd be more gregarious, more outgoing, more energetic, I guess. Just because also, what it's like, you start drinking, it's just like, it is, as they call, liquid courage, as this cliche goes. It was very much that for me. So it was my way of escaping. But over time, it started to turn into more than just escapism. It turned into me just ignoring certain emotions in my life and trying to avoid them entirely, and it just was so easy. I mean, it was a lot easier to uncork a bottle or, pop a cap. And it was easy. And it became just my habit. And life didn't get easier the more I drank. Like I like to pretend that it did. And,
don't we all?
Well, seriously, right? Like it was so simple. But also when I think back, my association at the time, because I'm a big believer in role models, but also mentorship. I'm a big believer. Like from a business standpoint, it's what it allowed me to be successful in the businesses that I've done is based on those two principles. And yet, when I look at my social interactions and my social connections at that time, my sphere of influence, the habits that I was doing over and over again were being role modeled by my circle. Like I didn't know there was any other way to deal with it.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, right? When you really start to pay attention to the people that we call our closest friends.
Yeah.
And because we all started adopting the same beliefs and we reinforce those beliefs.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Crazy, right? And I feel you 100% on that. Was it just within friends choosing? Was it family as well that this was kind of a thing? I know for some people, hey, families get together and it's a holiday. Oh, well, we crack a few bottles of wine or whatever. Was it just the people you were seeking out and connected to? Because I know you talk a lot about being in the wrong place at the wrong time, that people just say, oh, I'm in the wrong place at the wrong time, with taking away that we have the power of choice. We get to choose our actions and environments.
You're spot on. And if I go back, like it got to a point where the alcohol use, like I'd have a few drinks with my buddies and it would often lead to cocaine, to a couple bumps of rail here and there, and that would also lead, because I completely changed my demeanor. All my values that I said were important to me, the kind of person that I believed that I was and I was acting as, that guy went away somewhere. He got locked away. And I was completely different, and promiscuous. I cheated on my wife a lot. And I still feel shame and guilt around that. Because I wasn't role modeling the kind of person that I'd want my own daughters to potentially wed. Like when I'm going to cut to the point here, guys. Like it was so hard. I remember that day I went out, had an all-nighter, ignored my wife's texts and even her pleas to come home, like just turn off the phone. I still don't even remember how I got home that night. I have no idea. But I woke up on the floor that morning and it was like 11 a.m. It was pretty late in the morning. Family's awake downstairs. And my wife's unloading the dishwasher. I knew this clearly because it's all I could hear with the dishes clanging. So as I say, she was unloading the dishwasher with a lot of passion. and fervor. Like every dish was clanging. It was like, I know she was trying to get my attention, get me to wake up, right? I made it down there. And when I locked eyes with her, like it was the craziest thing. Cause at this point we'd been together 10 years. Yeah. You get to know each other really well, dreams, ambitions, goals, but you also know how to push each other's buttons. but she was always someone that, we can have fun together. We've always had fun together. And at that moment, the way she looked at me, she'd never looked at me that way before. And it was like this complete disdain, like just like disdain, disgust, like just, like, it was basically like, I'm done. Yeah. And for those of us that have been in a romantic relationship where we've had, the best of love, and then all of a sudden when that love disappears and you're left with a lot of other maybe negative emotions in its place, it felt like that's what I was experiencing right then and there. And so we sat down and we started talking, and she was just like putting the hammer down, like, this is not an environment to raise our kids in. And to be fair, I was the first idea of what a man is to my kids. Now I recognize I'm a man who identifies as a man, so I'm talking from that perspective. But sure. My daughters, whatever orientation they decide, wherever, I just want them to be great human beings, and that's the conversation I'm talking right now. But I was their first idea of what a man is, what a dad is, what a husband is, what a brother is, what an entrepreneur is. Like that's who I was role modeling to them. But the behaviors I was role modeling, I would never want them to adopt, nor would I want them to have a partner in their life that was modeling what I was doing. But I didn't see that, guys. I didn't see that because I was so clouded by everything else I was doing and my own grief and just complete disregard with my own life, and my wife sat me down, and by this point there's tears on both sides, and the kids are still watching Dora the Explorer on the TV in the room. And
good show.
Yeah. Back. And, there's gonna be people writing in now. God dang it, I'm not gonna get that song into my head. But she looked at me and she asked me a question, and this is the question I really hammer home for anybody that might be relating to what I'm sharing right now, because there's very few questions in our life that when we're asked it, everything can change in a moment. And this is the question. Dai, are you being the kind of man that you'd want your daughters to marry? That question, just for some reason, that day at that time, based on those conditions, like I woke up. Wow. I was like, just instantaneously, I felt like I got punched in the nose and kicked in the nuts at the same time. Like it was just, oh, no, I'm not. Because I couldn't honestly answer to her. It didn't matter how much good I was doing when I was sober, because what I was doing when I wasn't sober far outweighed any of the good that I had done. And it really ultimately dismissed it.
Yeah.
Because it was my way of trying to make up for the things I already knew I was going to do bad.